Good day, IOA. I'm Ellen Miller, the Executive Director.
I'm Sarah Clapper. I'm President of the Board of Directors.
I'm Molly Berg. I am President of the Board of Certification.
So nice to be with you all today, and we have so much to update the community about. It has been a few months since Sarah and I did a mid-year update. I think it was June or early July, Sarah, and so we promised the community we would come back in December to update you. Similarly, on the co-op side of the house, we've been talking about changes that we've been working on, and we're about to launch some of those changes. So we wanted to cover some of those so everybody's in the know. Why don't we start, Molly, with you? And I think I will screen share a timeline to help guide the conversation.
Sure. Thank you. So as we've shared in the past, we stood up a joint task force back in 2022 to look at the development of a program accreditation model. To support that work, IOA actually hired a consultant, subject matter expert, who helped to review and benchmark and provide suggestions. One of those recommendations was actually to stand up program certification versus program accreditation. And so that's what the task force has been focusing on for the past year and a half. We have been looking at how an office can adhere to the standards of practice, what a properly structured office would look like, and then how to actually execute this new program that we're going to offer to the community. We had many offices that expressed an interest in program certification. There are many sectors that value certification in their programs, in their offices, and in their structure. And so we think that this is going to be a really great thing for ombuds offices to be able to go through this process and become certified within their organization.
What a wonderful tool, right, to help demonstrate value and impact. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of the reason that we went on this endeavor, which some of you may remember, is that we wanted to ultimately be able to extract these environmental or program standards from the individual certification. So we've been looking again at, as we build this program certification, how do we restructure the individual certification to allow more people to get certified so that those program constraints or structural issues in some cases are not counting against an individual ombuds who is practicing to standards and has the skills and knowledge to do so. All of this is going to result in a lot of changes, and those changes are going to really start this month and go through June. And so that's this schedule or little spreadsheet that we have displayed right now that is walking us through the decision points that the board is going to be taking over the next several months. We're going to do everything we can to communicate clearly, often, both the things that we do know and the things that we don't know. We want you to feel confident in the changes that are coming. We want you to understand them. And we want you to feel free to ask us questions. So certainly reach out to any of us if there are things that aren't making sense or that you just need some more information or want to have a conversation about. So
right, and to do, oh, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say
okay.
this piece, to do something, I hope people see the complexity of making this change, right? It's sort of a domino effect in multiple areas. So in a perfect world, we would have all the answers, right? And we would just be intentionally launching this, kind of dripping it so that we would be able to handle load. But in this instance, we've been working so hard for the past few years to really see how all of these things relate to each other, and also to give as much time as we can to make good decisions on changes that need to be made. And because of that, we just don't have all the answers. So please be patient with us as we go through this.
Yes. And I'll add here, and you'll probably hear us say this several times, the decisions that we're making, the changes that are coming, are being done in the best interest of the community. We are taking a do no harm approach. We are making decisions that will hopefully bring people in, make this more inclusive. We are not trying to disadvantage anyone at any point. So there may be things that come up that we have to deal with as we go through this timeline. There may be things that come up individually for people where there are questions. We are going to the extent possible, make decisions in the favor of the community and in the favor of both people who are already certified and those who want to become certified and are going through that process. So please know that, that we are, we're here for you and we are really doing this for you. So the first decision point is going to be this month. Actually next week, the Board of Certification will meet and we will take action on the program certification proposal that has reached a point where we can now vote on it, vote to accept, and then continue to move forward. So that will be the next decision point. And again, that will occur, well, I say next week, by the time you see this video, that point will have passed. It will be the second week in December that we will have met and made that decision. The next big piece will be in January, on January 1st, or on December 31st, we will stop accepting certification applications under the current process. So if you submit an application up to December 31st, those will be processed under the existing certification process. We will not restart collecting applications until April 15th, and that is to give the eligibility committee time to work through those of you that are currently in the process, and then to turn over the process to the new one, get everything in place, and begin accepting new applications. Again, this is a place where we are not going to disadvantage anyone. We don't have all the answers today, but we will let you know as soon as possible what situations you need to be aware of, what conditions might apply during this time period where we're taking a pause. We're doing this strategically to, again, help the eligibility committee, but also help all of you to be very clear what you're going through and what the expectations are. In February, we will take action on the new individual certification model. So concurrently with the program certification, we have had an individual certification working group that has been working tirelessly to figure out what this new model is going to look like. There will be some changes. There will be some things that we introduce to really increase the integrity and the credibility and the accessibility of this. Again, this is to bring more people in. So the decisions and changes we're making are unlikely to eliminate anybody, but we will be asking things that are more about your practice and your knowledge and your ethics of being an ombuds. So again, decisions will be made in February. After that, we will be able to put out more specifics about things that are coming, more details, and tell you exactly what to expect at that point. Ellen, do you want to talk about the exam?
Yeah, sure. We have been working with our existing exam vendor, Prometric, to open the exam and have it be open all the time. You know, in the past, we would open it for windows of time. And instead, what we have decided to do is it just makes more sense based on people's time and your own schedule to be able to have the window open the whole time. We'll then put in place systems where the SBI staff team will pull down everybody's application to take the exam within a certain time window. And similarly, if you've passed the exam, once it goes to eligibility, we'll also manage that process administratively with a timeline that will be set. But the main point to share is that the exam will be open in March, and it'll basically, the window will be open for you. So you'll decide when you want to take the exam. Equally exciting, and this is a new platform for Prometric, is the ability to take the exam remotely. This has been something that our international community has been asking for. It's also been something that all of you have been asking for who prefer not to take and have the stress of having to go to a brick and mortar facility to take an exam, and you'd rather take it at home. So Prometric has worked with us to create that option as well. So that's very exciting, and both of those, again, window as well as the ability to take the exam remotely will be open in March.
Thanks. So the last piece on this schedule, just to note, is that our plan is to begin accepting program certification applications in June. As of right now, today is December 4th when we're recording this, we are on schedule. It is possible that some of these dates will slide by a tiny bit, but we are doing everything we can to stay on schedule. The goal is, again, to begin accepting program certification applications in June. So let's talk about a few of the things that we don't know yet. We don't know what we don't know. So there are some things that may come up in this process that we need to address. The first one is the exam. So I mentioned that we're taking a hiatus of accepting applications on the individual side from December 31st to April 15th. If you are someone whose exam expires in that window, we may need to toll the expiration date so you will not be disadvantaged. Again, we are going to make a decision that is in your favor. And so if we find out that we have a whole bunch of people, we will address that sort of all together. If you individually know that you are hitting the 3-year mark on your exam, in that window, go ahead and reach out to us. We will address those things as it comes up. Another thing that's going to come up is the candidate for co-op. So that designation was developed several years ago to meet the needs of those ombuds that had some limitations and could not adhere fully to the SOPs. Because we are changing to have program certification and then make the individual solely about the skills, knowledge, and practice of the individual, we will likely see that candidate for co-op go away. How we do that and when we do that and how we transition folks, we don't know yet. As soon as we do, we will let you know. But again, as I become a broken record, we are going to make the decision that goes in your favor, that is in the best interest for you and for the community. But just know that we may see that category sunset, and those folks who have that designation will likely be brought into the full certification as we make these changes. Again, reach out to us anytime. Let us know if you're in that category, if you have concerns, but we will share FAQs and information as soon as we have it, when we have those details. Changes to individual certification are going to cascade and may cause some changes to recertification. That committee is currently discussing how to address any changes. They are going to be coming back to the Board of Certification soon to let us know what they need, what concerns or questions they have, so that we can address those as we start to roll this out. We know that there are a large number of certified ombuds that are going to recertify in 2025. And so it's going to be important to let you all know what to expect, what's coming, and we will do that as soon as we know. In the new model, we are looking at whether to require the hours of practice as an ombuds before taking the exam. We haven't made that decision. We haven't finalized that decision yet, but that's an example of something that may change in the future model, to actually get your experience and your skills and knowledge as an ombuds prior to taking the exam, and have the exam be the last piece before going through the interview and becoming certified. So again, change to look forward to. I think that we're really doing things that are exciting, that are beneficial to all of us, to the community. And I can't wait to engage with you all and bring as many of you into these programs as possible. I think it's going to be really exciting.
You know, it's such a positive move for the profession and the field, and also makes good on strategic plan goal 1.3 and 1.4. So, you know, we're always guided by the strategic plan in all that we do and all of the projects and priorities. So it's exciting that we'll be able to achieve those by mid-2025. Thank you so much, Molly. It's so much that has been going on, and you have just done a remarkable job stewarding all of this as president of Co-op. So thank you for all of that. Sarah, we got a
Yes.
lot going on the IOA side of the house as well. So,
Holy cow, we do.
right?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, I hope everybody's having a good holiday season, whichever holidays you celebrate, if you celebrate them. And also Happy New Year, because by the time this airs, it'll be really close to New Year. So in that vein, though, let's look back at the past year, well, at least the past 6 months. And I wanted to let you know what we've been up to as IOA, as a board, and a little bit also of what Ellen's been doing. Because all three of those entities have been super busy. I've got a lot, so I've got notes. Buckle up. All right, so our focus, obviously, as IOA, as the board, has been to continue supporting ombuds, increasing awareness of our profession, of being organizational ombuds around the US and around the globe. So some things that we have been doing include, we had great success, IOA had great success in lobbying on Title IX issues this year in the past 6 months, not eight months. For the first time, organizational ombuds were recognized in the guidance associated with a regulation. First time that any of us are aware of ever. And that is in Title IX, and it is the language used in that guidance is directly taken from IOA's public comment put together by our advocacy committee. So really fantastic for us as a profession. And although there are changes coming to Title IX that we're all anticipating, we don't really think that is going to go away because that has already been approved, as opposed to some other measures, particularly about transgender individuals, that have not yet been approved and finalized. So that is probably where most of the changes are going to come, but this change has already been approved and is officially regulation and the guidance associated with it. So yay, team, on that. And also the good news with that is that we can now use that as a model for other statutes, other regulations, including organizational ombuds in the guidance around those. So that is super fantastic. Some other things that have been happening. September, we had our September symposium. It was focused on the organization as a visitor. It was super successful. We really were looking at how to better tell the stories about our work and use data to highlight patterns and trends, really in service of the organization and in service of our individual visitors. So that was fantastic. September was also a busy month internationally. I spent some time in Germany with the European Mediators and Ombuds group, hosted by SAP, and that was a terrific experience. Our treasurer, Wayne Marriott, was in Beijing for the now, Ellen, I always say the A part wrong, the Asia Pacific RAC, but it's the regional
Regional advancement communities.
advancement community.
Yes.
I try to, my brain goes back to the old
I know we
title.
changed it. It's a
I
fair
know.
thing, right?
We changed it, but my brain has not changed, so my apologies on that. But anyway, Wayne was in Beijing and representing IOA at the RAC meeting there, which was fantastic. Ellen was in Canada, along with our foundation's coordinator and instructors, for a special foundations course for Canada, because Canada is our focus under our strategic plan for this year. I was also last month at COFO and was really excited to meet with our federal ombuds in Washington, D.C. And then we also had our board member Yusufa Nyang and the head of the African RAC and several other IOA members who spoke, including me, but they were actually on the ground in person in Botswana and at a meeting there. Super fantastic, very well received. And Zetu, our chair of the African RAC, received a big award for how fabulous her table was for IOA. And she received all kinds of interest in membership, professional development, and co-op certification. So that is awesome. In all spaces that we were in, there was just general curiosity about the work of IOA and organizational ombuds for any audiences that were not organizational ombuds focused. So that was really fantastic to be able to spread the word about what IOA, how we support ombuds around the world. Closer to home, we continue to lobby and raise awareness, both with different government bodies, but also related-ish groups and groups who need to know more about IOA and organizational ombuds. We really focused on confidentiality and how critical confidentiality is to our work. Ellen and I both together presented for Lawline for a group called Women on Guard, which is a legal group focusing on mitigation of sexual harassment in the legal profession. So shockingly, there is sexual harassment in the legal profession. So that is what that group is dedicated to. It was a really great presentation, really great questions, question and answer period at the end. So fantastic. Also, because it's focused in the legal area, the more general counsel positions and people who work in those offices who know about our work as organizational ombuds, it can only benefit us as a profession, because then it becomes easier to advocate for our offices and what we need. The advocacy committee is also finalizing toolkits that are designed to help protect organizational ombuds and their offices within their organizations, and then also legally. So for example, litigation hold responses, like what should it actually look like? What's the language you should be using in response to litigation holds? And should you respond at all? All of that and more is going to be included in the toolkits. The DEIAB committee has been also extremely busy. Some fun things that they've been doing and nice. They have started a book club. I believe they're on their second book now. And they also last month started the LGBTQ plus affinity group. So that is also super awesome. The Leadership Academy started this month, or I've lost track of months. So
Yeah,
but it's this month,
Yeah.
for organizational ombuds. And all of that is wonderful. Our board is super energized. Everything I've mentioned, board members have been integral in each and every opportunity and component of all the work that we've been doing as an organization. Yeah, and so that's been a lot, but remember always that IOA needs volunteers. We need your ideas, we need your energy, we need your talent, your enthusiasm, because we all have jobs. And so it is really hard to get things done, that all the things that we want to do as an organization is hard to do that if we don't have active volunteers. And we really appreciate the people like Molly, who do volunteer their time significantly and really help. But we're happy to have you volunteer at really any level that you are capable of doing. All right. With all that, I'm going to turn it over to Ellen.
Thanks, Sarah. So as you can see, and as you've heard, it's been busy. It's been a super busy 2024, and certainly the last several months of 2024. And I know it's been busy for you all in your practice and in your offices as well. You continue to do more with less. And, the great success of organizational ombuds is people are finding you and your numbers are growing, which is just a testament to how critical your work is. But offices are growing. If you look at the Ombuds blog, you see all the new offices recruiting and growing. Offices are also scaling up, which is wonderful. And I continue to field an awful lot of technical assistance calls on how to set up programs, how to scale up programs. And we will be working on an informal video for members in January from some offices who thought through that and either successfully scaled up or just in the process of scaling up. So you'll have a little bit more of an idea of how to go about even sort of organizing your own thoughts around if you think your office needs to scale up. Moving on to surveys, the survey team just released the 2023 practice survey. No, we do it late, it's based on data from last year, right? So anyway, the 2023 practice survey was just revised, and they were very kind to accommodate me because our practice survey is actually the #1 thing that I use to help advocate for all of you. And so they were very kind to reformat the report this year based on the questions that I get all the time. And so you'll note in the blog post and in Hey IOA, a wonderful report that they've written about the top impacts of the ombuds and what we can learn about practice. So if you haven't seen it, please do look at it. It's a wonderful thing. And I encourage you to share that in your organizations as well, as another example of how impactful and how valuable your offices are. Next up, though, of course, is comp survey. We've separated the practice and the comp survey. You all use the comp survey. That's the #1 thing you all use. Well, I use practice survey. You all use comp survey to help increase your salary and determine benefits for those of you who have multiple ombuds in your offices. So please, please, please complete that survey. It is only as strong as the number of people who participate. So please, please take some time to do that. I think we have reported for the last few years about our first book called The Organizational Ombuds: Foundations, Fundamentals, and Its Future. And I'm excited to say that the book is almost ready for publication. Now, I know I'm sounding like a broken record because I think I've said that several times as well, but it's a huge project. It's a beautiful compilation resource that has been edited and contributed by over 45 individuals. So it's a Herculean task to do. And it took some time for IOA to stand up our publishing wing, if you will. So we now have graphic designers and a publishing house and a fabulous partner who does the copy editing. And it is almost ready to go to the indexer. So, book production is not for the faint at heart. And so I'm excited that we're almost done with it. But I've also received several questions about, will this book be the official position of IOA? Will it be the policy of the board of directors? And so I just wanted to take a minute to sort of, level set about that piece. A book and association publishing programs, just like university publishing programs, are just that. They're a vehicle to publish content of authors, and they're edited by those people who are not the publisher intentionally to maintain the integrity of the process. Similarly, our JIOA is not the policy or position of IOA or the board. None of the JIOA articles go, they're edited, and they are peer reviewed. And so the similar treatment will be by the book or the book. So it's not the position, it's just going to be a wonderful compilation looking at the organizational ombuds for the first time, about our foundations, about our applications, and about sort of where we're going. Huge thanks to Shannon and Laura Lee for taking that on. Let's see. I expect that will be ready for pre-orders the end of January, early February. For those of you who are coming to conference, it'll certainly be a conference. For those of you who can't come to conference in Miami, we'll make ways to get you those books. I'm also working on a bunch of videos. It's been a year of video production. We're revising the nuts and bolts video, which is an asynchronous product that was used. It was intended to be the next step after foundations. Here's the details of how you set up your office. We're also working on creating another asynchronous video series that takes the core course demonstrating value to be a video product. So that will accompany now nuts and bolts. And so given the role that of ombuds is dual, you're helping visitors, you're also helping your organizations with systemic feedback. We felt that it's important to have both of those videos available to new ombuds. So when they start their offices, they're thinking both of the dual role. It also reemphasizes and focuses the work that we did at September Symposium. I have been working on what I call the Ally Video Project for the past 2 years now. The first one was focused in the corporate space, and it asks C-suite corporate executives to talk about their ombuds offices and to talk about the impact. We have 5 corporate C-suite individuals or C-suite organizations that are talking about the impact of ombuds that is just off the charts amazing. And when you see it, you're going to be very excited. Once we're done with corporate, we're going to turn to higher ed. Once we're done with higher ed, we're going to turn to government, US government, and then Canadian government. You know, the beauty of this project is it's only as strong as you all saying, my C-suite people are the ones you need to talk to. And it is just absolutely dynamic because, you know, the reality is presidents listen to presidents. You know, HR directors listen to other HR directors, general counsel listen to other general counsel. So we intentionally wanted to create a video project that allows the direct targeted audience to think about, okay, if this person in this corporation thinks that this is valuable, it's got to be valuable for me as well. Last but certainly not least, we know this has been a really rocky time for many ombuds, not just in the United States, but globally. There's so much happening. We try to address that monthly with our community conversations to hold space for ombuds. But I also want to share that, you know, if you're worried about your organizations and your office's budget for 2025 or 2026, you worry about your survivability in 2025, you know, please reach out. You're not alone. We're going to be putting together a series of resources and town halls to help you sort of navigate that process. But if you're also concerned about how can you still connect with IOA in these times of uncertainty, please reach out to me. You know, we're nothing if we're not supportive of our community when it's tough for you. So please reach out to me directly and let's see what we can do to help you. That's a lot. That was almost 35 minutes of updates. Anything that we missed? No?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
If you have any questions, please, as Molly said, reach out to Molly and me if you have any questions about all the changes that are happening in the Board of Certification space. Feel free to reach out to Sarah or me of any questions about any of the updates that we gave you on the IOA side of the house. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, and happy holidays to everybody who celebrates.
Thank you.